Hello class. So let's continue with our geography chapter 7 lifelines of national economy. We were going through the topic of transport, road transport. So now we are going to take national highways. Now national highways, these are the highways which are linking extreme parts of the country, and their road system is primarily made and maintained by Central Public Works Department, and there are number of major national highways which run in north, south and east, west directions. That is national highway. Next is state highway. What is the meaning of state highway? State highway means the road which links a state capital with different district headquarters are known as state highways. They are linking a state capital with this different district headquarters. And these roads are constructed and maintained by the State Public Works Department. Highway was seen by Central Public Works Department. Golden Quadrilateral was done by National Highway Authority of India. Primary road system, national highway was done by CPWD, and state highways, the construction and is maintained by State Public Works Department in state and union territories. Now the others, district roads and other roads. District roads means these roads which connect the district headquarters with other places of the district, and they are maintained by Zilla Parishad. And other roads means the rural roads which link one village to another village, one rural area to the town, and from town to different town, from that town to different village, and they are mainly received and special and then under the Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana. And under this scheme, there are special provisions are made so that every village in the country is linked to a major town in the country by on all season motorable road. That means there can be problem. For example, if there is a medical emergency and if you don't have a proper transport system to reach the town, where will that person be taken? How will that person go there? So under the special provisions of Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana, it has been made possible that every village in the country is linked to a major town in the country, and for that all season motorable road has been made. That means not in rainy season the road has vanished, now we cannot see because of all type of water logging and all. No, they have maintained proper road so that people don't face any kind of difficulties in emergency if they want to reach the towns. Border roads. Apart from these, border road organization is a government of India is undertaking construction and maintain the roads in the bordering areas of the countries. And this organization was established in 1960 for the development of roads of strategic importance in the north and northeastern border areas. These roads have improved accessibility in areas of difficult terrain and have also helped in the economic development of these areas. The Indian Railways is the largest public sector undertaking in the country. The first train steamed off from Mumbai to Thane in 1853, covering a distance of 34 kilometers, concentrate or even bitumen of coal. Therefore, these are all-weather roads. That means border roads are totally undertaken by Government of India. They have made the difficult terrain also easy for the military department and all to move. And also the thing is that they have made the accessibility important, and this organization was established in 1960 for the development of proper national economy and road system. Then what about the term road density? Now we have learned about road transport, national highways, golden quadrilateral and all. What is the meaning of road density? Road density means the length of road per 100 square kilometer of area is known as density of road. That means the length of road per 100 square kilometer of area. That is known as density of road, and the distribution of road is not uniform in the country. The density of all road varies from 10 km in Jammu Kashmir to 375 km in Kerala, and the national average of 75 km as of 1996-97. Road transportation in area faces a number of problems. Keeping in view the volume of traffic and passengers, the road network is inadequate. About half of the roads are unmetalled, and this limits their usage during the rainy season. The national highways are inadequate too. Moreover, the roadways are highly congested in cities, and most of the bridges and culverts are old and narrow. You must have seen now lots and lots of flyovers have been built in our state, in Ahmedabad also. Right? You must have seen that. What is that? Why they are doing so? They are doing this to manage the transportation, doing this to manage the traffic, so that all traffic don't get accumulated in one road. What they have done is they are making flyovers where the thing can be separated, it can be distributed, and there is no kind of traffic jam which is taking place in the road. That's why flyover is also playing an important role. And whichever flyover and bridges they are making, they should always see to it that it's a little bit broader, so that the number of vehicles accumulated on that flyover is also in good amount. It should not be that narrow and old. And the repairing work should be always see to it that the repairing work should be done properly, otherwise there can be a cause of any accident also if the bridge is too old. Next is railways. Here you can see the map, railway map of India. Railways are the principal mode of transportation for goods and passengers in India. Railways also make it possible to conduct various activities like business, sightseeing, pilgrimage, along with transportation of goods over longer distances. As we have seen earlier, roadways are helpful for less number of goods and less number of passengers and smaller distances. And railways help us in good number of products, good number of passengers, and also to cover longer distances. Apart from an important means of transport, the Indian Railway have been a great integrative force for more than 150 years. Railways in India binds the economic life of the country as well as accelerate the development of the industry and agriculture. That means railways have helped in the development of economy in a very good way. To transport one thing to another place, transport goods from one place to another place, transporting furniture from one place to another, transporting some kind of heavy materials which is coming from iron and steel industries and all, railways are helping us in transporting so. So they are also helping in the development of national economy and in agriculture too. The railway network is given here. The Indian Railway have a network of 7,031 stations spread over a route length of 63,221 km with a fleet of 7,817 locomotives, 5,321 passenger service vehicles, 4,904 other coach vehicles, and 2,28,170 wagons. Here we can see the railway networks. Downside also you can see the railway gauge and length of routes in India is given here in gauge, route and running track. Total track, you can see the table here distributed into broad gauge, feeder gauge, narrow gauge. Development of railways. Now, how is the development of railways done and how it takes place? The Indian Railway is now reorganized into 16 zones. Our Indian Railway is reorganized into 16 zones, and the distribution pattern of the railway network in the country has been largely influenced by physiographic, economic and administrative factors. The northern plains, with their vast level land, high population density and rich agricultural resources, provided the most favorable condition for the growth of railway. However, a large number of rivers requiring construction of bridges across their wide beds posed some obstacles. In the hilly terrains of the peninsular region, railway tracks are laid through low hills, gaps or tunnels. So these are the way how development of railways has taken place. It has distributed the railway network pattern throughout our country, and it has been influenced by the physiographic, economic and administrative factors of the place, whether it is northern plain or a large number of rivers are there for construction of bridges and all. In the highly terrain areas and peninsular region, railway tracks are laid through low hills, gaps or tunnels. You must have seen whenever you go by railways, in train and all, so many tunnels come in middle, right? They are the big mountains and all where they have carved the tunnel, so with the help of which railways can or train can move from one place to another, and here it shows a great development of railways happening. Next, the Himalayan mountainous regions too are unfavorable for the construction of railway lines. Why? Because of the high relief, sparse population and lack of economic opportunities. As I told you, the mountains over there, their geographical condition and the place there is not in such a way that railways can be made, because it needs railway track, proper railway station and all kind of things. But the terrain there is a little bit difficult. So here roadways are mostly used. Likewise, it was difficult to rail railway lines on the sandy plain of western Rajasthan, swamps of Gujarat, forested tracts of Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Orissa and Jharkhand. Here in sandy plains also it's a little bit difficult for railways. The contiguous stretch of Sahyadri could be closed only through gaps or passes. As I told you earlier, some places are there where only passes and roads are helping for transportation. Railways can't play much important role there. In recent times, the development of the Konkan Railway along the west coast has facilitated the movement of passengers and goods in this most important economic region of India. Konkan Railway has played an important role in facilitating the movement of passengers along the west coast of our country. And it has also faced a number of problems such as sinking of track in some stretches and landslide. It happens. That means when the train is moving, suddenly they stop the train, and then we get the news that there has been a landslide which has happened. And then till that landslide is removed, we have to be there in that place itself. And it's a great problem which is faced by the railway department. Today, the railways have become more important in our national economy than all other means of transport put together. However, rail transport suffers from certain problems as well. Many passengers travel without tickets. It happens this way that there are many passengers who don't take the compartment ticket, who don't take the railway ticket, and they just travel. And because of which it's causing problem for railways. Thefts and damaging of railway property has not yet stopped completely. Theft in railways, it happens a lot many times. Whenever a station is near to come, if a thief or somebody is there, they just grab anybody's luggage and run away. So this type of theft and damaging of railway property is also taking place a lot. People stop the train, pull the chain unnecessarily, and this causes heavy damage to the railway. This also happens because there is certain time for each and every train to move. Right? If 2:55 the train passes from this side, there is going to be a train which is going to come at 3:01. So it has to be very careful that we don't create any kind of problem between the time. Sometimes people unnecessarily they pull the chain, and because of which the train has to stop, and again it has to restart. Until then, there is another train coming on the same track. So for this, people have to be very careful that not damaging any kind of railway property, not stopping the train or pulling the chain unnecessarily by creating damage to the railway. Next is pipelines. Pipeline transport network is a new arrival on the transportation map of India. In the past, these were used to transport water to city and industries. Now these are used for transporting crude oil, petroleum products, and natural gas, as I told you earlier. From oil and natural gas field to refineries, fertilizer factories, and big thermal power plants. Solids can also be transported through a pipeline when converted into slurry. So earlier pipelines were only helping in the transportation of water from cities to industries and all. But now they are also helping in the transportation of crude oil, petroleum products, and also the natural gas from oil and natural gas fields to refineries, fertilizer factories, and big thermal power plants. The pipelines are helping a lot, with the help of which underground pipelines and all, they are able to get the natural gas into refineries and fertilizer factories and all. And even solid can be transported through pipeline if it is converted into slurry and then transporting it into pipeline. So pipeline is also helping us in the national economic development. Next, the far inland locations of refineries like Barauni, Mathura, Panipat, and gas-based fertilizer plant could be thought of only because of pipelines. Initial cost of laying pipeline is high, but subsequent running costs are minimal. It rules out transshipment losses or delays. That means pipeline is helpful in this Barauni, Mathura, Panipat and all. Gas-based fertilizer plants is possible only because of pipeline through natural gas transportation. Otherwise, it would have been not possible for them to start an fertilizer plant over there. Laying pipeline is little bit high cost, but afterwards when it is started using, the transshipment losses and delay is not there much. It can run fast. The running cost is minimal. But when they are when they are beginning the pipeline construction and all, it is a little bit costly, but it is still helping the national economy. There are three important networks of pipeline transportation in the country. From this slide onwards, we will be seeing in the next section. Thank you.